Hi guys, Marshall here. Welcome to today. In today's training, we're specifically focusing on the externalization of our safety, and it relates to today's experiment question: what are we fearing in the consequence of an outcome, basically? So, a lot of times with safety, we've externalized it. We've made our safety dependent on an external factor, like a person being a certain way or a certain situation working out with a certain outcome. We have also internalized a sense of helplessness and a sense of hopelessness within ourselves. And this tends to amplify our sense of insecurity and vulnerability to threat in the world. So what I want to start doing here with this is counterintuitive to what you would think would make you safe. Most people think, okay, if there's a danger, we got to go out and control it. That's where a lot of our controlling, fixing, and pleasing behaviors come from, because we want to control the outcome so that we can feel safe. The problem is we're controlling external things that we have a natural powerlessness over, such as people's feelings, actions, choices, inaction, non-choices, things like that. And so our challenge here is to begin to recognize what is actually in our power. Now, power is funny because it's not necessarily reactive, it's proactive. What it does is it looks at a dynamic and it says, what is my responsibility, in this dynamic, and then what outcome would I prefer, and then what do I need in order to mitigate the risks that I can also identify in a situation. This is where we begin to use our power to create the result called safety. We get involved in our own experience about what is really, really happening for us. Now, I'm going to adjust this here so I can see you guys, because it's not letting me see you. All right, let's come down here. Okay, hi, Catherine. So another factor that's going on here is we likely have latent unresolved trauma in the background, which makes the future uncertain, and that uncertainty is then painted. Well, the trauma doesn't make the future uncertain. What it does is it takes the uncertainty of the future, its natural uncertainty, and paints it with a big terrifying thing. So now we feel really unsafe because we don't know what's actually going to happen. This is how we've externalized our safety. We are really dependent on something working out a specific way so we can feel safe. What we've got to do is return that safety back to us. We have to internalize safety, and that comes back to that reference of power I was talking about. It's like, what can I do in this situation? What am I actually have power in? And there's 4 things that we have power in. 1, we have the power in our desires. We can choose what we want. We can tune into what we want, we can know it, we can embrace it, and we can follow it. The second thing we can do here with this is understand what our feelings are. Rather than internalizing our feelings as someone else's responsibility or externalizing them as someone else is causing us to feel them, we embrace and receive them without making them personal. Because feelings aren't facts, they're not the truth, they're not reality, but they are experience. They're the color of the moment, for instance. And so when we embrace or approach emotions that way, then our emotion of fear becomes a thought, an experience, an awareness, but not a fact, not reality, not the truth. Now we're getting in control of our experience. We're getting in control of how we're responding to reality outside of us. We're returning safety back to us. That's the magic of this, is that when we realize we have power over the way we think, the way we perceive, and then we have the power to manage our emotions, we succeed. We start to feel safer because we're not dependent again on an external thing creating safety for us. We are creating safety in the experience of what's showing up. Now, the next thing that we want to look at here is our choices. A lot of the drama we have in our life is a product of choice. Most of the risks and dangers we're dealing with are a product of making a choice or not making a choice. Now, in being brilliantly, this is one thing we dig in very deeply in, is knowing what we actually want, what's light and heavy, and then becoming willing to receive that awareness and then receive the choices that come with it. This is where we can begin to manufacture safety in a very deliberate fashion, one way that works for us, and we can accomplish what we want. Because ultimately, safety is having circumstances that provide more safety, but it's not us depending on circumstances to happen to make us safe. It's us being proactive in creating those circumstances. See what I'm getting at there? We are becoming deliberate in choosing and acting in ways that result in safety, rather than becoming reactive and trying to control fires or situations that don't necessarily, that could put us in unsafe situations and that we can't actually predict or control very well. The next component to this is action. What am I going to do? Okay, so if I'm really conscious with myself, I'm tuned into what I want, what I feel, what options I have available to me, so I can make a choice. Then I can take action on that choice. That produces more safety, because now I'm operating in the full capacity of my power. I'm not waiting for Sally to do something so that I feel safe. I'm going after my safety because maybe Sally's been very aggressive with me, and I'm like, I don't feel safe with this right now. Then I know what my desire is. I want to feel safe in this particular thing, like ordering pizza with pepperoni. That would be the thing, right? Okay. So now I want to order pizza from pepperoni, or pizza without pineapple on it, or with just pepperoni. But Sally gets really aggressive because she wants her pineapple. Okay. I don't feel safe asking her, but I would like to have a safe experience with her. So I need to give her an opportunity by asking her to change her behavior. So I can say, hey, Sally, it feels really uncomfortable when I want to ask for a pizza with just pepperoni on it, and you get really aggressive and defensive with me. I don't feel like I can trust you. I don't feel safe with you, and I would like to feel safe with you. So if you have a disagreement with what I'm asking for, what I would ask you to do is say, Marshall, I'd like pineapple too, or something. And then, what do you think about that? And then we'll see what she says. Now, let's go on the premise that she's actually a healthy person and she just has this real sensitivity to that because of a trauma in her past. Then we could even be like, I know in the past that a lot of things were controlled for you, so I'd like you to have more of what you want too. So let's order a half and half. Now we're being real considerate about her history, her context, and we're building even more safety. But notice, I didn't wait for Sally to come over and fix this for me. I was proactive with it. Safety is a product of proactive action based on our awareness of what choices we have available and what we want ultimately to experience. Okay? So we don't have to externalize our safety anymore. And one of the MP3s in the Retrieving Safety micro course or guide is going to be about returning our sense of power back to us so that we can become more aware of what's available to us through our brilliance. That's kind of magic of this. Because the whole premise here, guys, especially if you're new to the group, my premise is that we're all brilliant. Codependency is a manifestation of our brilliance. The externalization of safety is a manifestation of brilliance, where we figured out that if we could control other people's behaviors and influence them a certain way, we could get more safety through them. And that was a rational choice for where we were coming from as a kid at the time. But now, as adults, we have a very different vector of power. And now we need to embrace that and understand it so we can have a more deliberate experience of whatever it is we want. The beauty of this as well is it begins to mitigate unnecessary risks, because any choice or action has risks. But then if we know what those are and we know how to act and what we need to know, what to choose and when to choose it and do those things, then we can assess the risk, the opportunity, and take action without having to be taking on things that would be irrationally risky for us. Instead, we become very, very calculated in it, and we get more of what we want. So that's what I want you to think about today. What am I projecting into the future? Or how have I externalized my safety in my projection, the way I'm thinking, but the consequences I fear? So we're going to get into more of those throughout this week. and especially with the tools coming in the safety retrieval guide or retrieving safety. So that's why I think you should think about is that you've externalized your safety. Now you can begin to return it to you by embracing your power, by understanding where you're coming from. Now, if you've got trauma yelling at you in the background, it's overwhelming you with this flood of, oh my God, this is going to happen, regardless of what you rationally understand is going on. You can even see results that contradict the claim of the trauma. And reach out to me, because we're going to be doing what's called Getting Closure mastermind or mentorship, where I'm going to train you how to regulate your nervous system and how to accomplish closure in trauma using my process called the closure technique. So we'll be talking more about that as I put that together and get that ready for you guys. Thank you for being a part of our community here on Facebook and here on YouTube. Now, remember to like, comment, and share. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to this channel, because there's a lot more coming with this. If you guys got questions, ask them below. I appreciate you being a part of this. Now, if you're ready to take back your life, if you're ready to have your happiness, your confidence, and love back in your life, to rediscover your power in that, join the Codependence to Confidence self-guided system I've created for you. You can learn more about that at membership.freetheself.com. Now, if you want the one-on-one work about going deep on who you are, your identity, mastering your voice, mastering being you, and then mastering your ability to choose and receive, reserve your seat by getting on the wait list for Being You Brilliantly. You can do that at app.freetheself.com. Thank you guys again for being here, and remember that you're worth knowing, you're worth loving, you're worth keeping. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's training. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.